I'm gonna try to get my honest, biased, and unbiased review.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I can't take out my biases, right? So first of all, somebody said, I thought it was funny.
Right.
I thought it had some funny moments, just as a moviegoer, mostly because for my unbiased review, I would say, listening to it, or watching it rather, there was a lot of funny moments. Now I watched it in the theater, right, at the premiere. So, when you're watching around people, when they laugh, it makes you want to laugh. So it was one of those things where it was just a lot of laughter. I think the funniest character in the whole movie was the white woman, Elaine, by far. And she was playing sort of like a racist Jewish woman, right? But her character was funny. The dynamic between, I think, Lauren and Jonah Hill, I don't think there was no chemistry there. Like, it was flat. I don't think it was no chemistry there. And so, I think that the relationship dynamic of putting them two together felt forced. I think, like I said, as a movie, I think it was funny. And what I liked about the funniness in the movie simply was because they wasn't afraid to kind of go close to the edge, right? Because the movie is about a Muslim family and a Jewish family, right? And the white Jewish, unextraordinary youngest son, who doesn't seem to be fulfilling. He's a sucker. He ain't got no nuts. You understand me? He's a complete opposite, right, of the type of person. It's the complete opposite of the type of person that Lauren London would pursue in real life. Right. So that's why the aspect of a movie didn't really make that much sense. All right. But that's what they do in these movies. But then there was a particular scene that rubbed me the wrong way, I would say. It's just a particular scene that rubbed me the wrong way. If y'all seen the movie, first of all, I want to see if y'all can guess the scene that Big Keys did not like. Y'all gotta know the scene that Big Keys did not like. Brother said no masculine black man. I think Eddie Murphy's character was the masculine black man in the movie. I would say that. He was the masculine black man in the movie. Yeah, Brother Rick, you already know when they set the crown on fire. I ain't like that joint. So it was a scene. Now tell me if I'm crazy. Before me, who was calling them crowns like that? So it's a scene where they at the table across from the Jewish family and it's a Muslim family. And she like, oh, y'all Muslims? And he like, yeah. And he like, yeah, I got this kufi. You understand me? First he called it a kufi. Then he said the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan gave me this crown. You understand me? Now, so, and he like, you familiar with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan work? I love him, blah, blah, blah. So they actually had some cool little banter back and forth of like, she tried to compare Jewish history to black history or slavery. And they was like, nah, like, y'all participated basically. Right. So she got that all slick. Nia Long said that. She told me, go give me my slavery receipt to my purse. I thought that was funny. Now, Elaine being vindictive, she got up and grabbed some candles and tipped the candle towards his kufi. They try to say she did it by accident. But a devil is a devil. When she Karen, she go Karen. So she cut the kufi on fire. Now she's stepping the kufi out. Right. The crown, what they calling it, a crown. Yeah. Now I feel like they was hating on Big Keys. One thing I don't like about these movies, man, is the interracial agenda, right? There's some of y'all out there with white women and all that stuff. That's on you. But what I don't like is the force. Everywhere I go, all propaganda all around the world, all I see is interracial mixing. That's all I see. That's all I see. You understand me? And so it's like, I enjoy as a movie goer, because I like movies. I'm a movie buff. I watched the movie. I thought it was funny. And then there were a bunch of scenes that I was uncomfortable with. I didn't like the fact that they tried to put the Sunni in the Nation of Islam, and they tried to say the nation bit off the Sunni, you understand me, and we was the fake Muslims, basically. I didn't like that joke. That didn't sit with me. That wasn't even remotely funny. That was just an unnecessary shot, you feel me, that I'm sure the Jewish controls of the movie put in there. Because you can't just have a movie showing the light. Then they tried to make Eddie Murphy just seem like a fake-ass Muslim, right? And then later on down the line, there ain't not one black Muslim man that's from LA, that's in the Nation of Islam in the history of all the world, will give his daughter away that look like Lord London, that's already decided that they not gonna be together, and then he go call up the racist mom, who was an obvious racist, in the way that she was moving and acting, and decide that I want to give my daughter away. Now that part of the movie was just so off the top, extraordinarily like wild. That's like some like Jewish interracial, you know, anti-Muslim black man strong stands dream that they wish that kind of crap happened. That don't have that part, you understand me, was so far-fetched that it destroyed whatever ending that the movie could have had. You understand me? But you know, it's one of those things where it's a comedy. All movies are propaganda, you know, but I don't like, and I've been saying this for a while, and I even said that about Ken Burns, because I know he was, and I didn't get a chance to ask him. I was going to ask him that because I seen him that day, but, you know, he kind of slipped away from the question, because I was going to ask him who wrote that scene about the crown. You know, I ain't going to lie, I was going to press him a bit about that. Who wrote that scene about the crown? Because, you know, there's certain things I don't find funny. And the reason I don't find funny is because this is Hollywood's way of constantly making fun of the conscious black man. And at the same time, when we see murder in the streets, y'all want black men to stand up, but y'all make fun of the type of black man who would be willing to stand up. You know, so it's the oxymoron, and they do that on purpose. You dig? So I didn't like that. There's no way that Eddie Murphy would start changing his mind because he see Jonah Hill play basketball, and then there's no way that Jonah Hill, this fat guy, was gonna outplay niggas that's playing basketball in Watts. It was crazy. That was crazy. You know, they gave a couple odes to Nipsey Hussle. He said something about the Marathon store. I don't know if I liked that or disliked that, just because of the type of movie that it was in. But the one thing I will say that was classy of Lauren London is she made sure there was no actual real intimate scenes in the movie. You know what I'm saying? Which I'm sure was something she asked, like, no, we're not going to be doing no kissing. No, we're not going to show simulations of sex. All they showed was, like, a cover over the feet and the feet rubbing. There was no sex, so he just cut, like... He
wouldn't get no flavor.
He ain't get no flavor. She was like, that's out. No tongue action, none of that. He just leave it to the imagination. So all the scenes of them, like, being in close quarters felt uncomfortable because you could tell it was like zero. It was negative degree chemistry in the movie, you know. And I felt like that probably was her, like, you know what I mean? Nah, we not doing that. But yeah, it was like small little peck, and it was like, all right, that's enough.
Right.
I'm not ruining my reputation kissing.
Right.
Oh my God. Yeah, it wasn't no chemistry because that's not possible. I've never seen natural chemistry of, like, you know. I think another thing is, like, with these movies, you take somebody like Jonah Hill who doesn't have to be spectacular besides, you know, being funny, but spectacular in any sort of way, and you try to make, you know, because you don't really see that with black men in movies. You're not going to take some black man in a movie who don't really have much going on for his life as far as, like, being extraordinary, and then he gets the baddest girl in the world. You know what I'm saying? You don't see that. You don't see the reverse as well. Just some regular black guy who ain't got much going on, and then he's going to get the baddest or even white girl in the world, if you will, right? You're not going to see that reverse, and that's, I don't know, y'all pick your favorite white woman. But so, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, man, You People was interesting. I think comedy has a long way to go to figure out the formula but I think it was actually one of the funnier comedies that I've seen in a while, just because specifically they told the line a little bit, where that moment where he was like, have you heard what Farrakhan said about Jews? And the conversation would have to stop right there, right? Because then the conversation goes into a political conversation where you have to talk about the truth of what he said and the verification of it versus the feelings on how they feel, right? And so it stops right there, because I don't think that nobody has the right to make a movie in reference to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan whatsoever without complete veneration and respect at the highest level. That's me, because otherwise it's 100% a part of an agenda. Now, like I said, it was just a couple of things. That disrespectful thing with them stumping out the crown, man, I can't forgive him for that. I can't. Somebody say mixed relations are good for black people. In 30s, whites with trying to justify, like, bro, trying to act like he was Snow Bunny because he trying to get rid of white people. Negroes, boy, you is not with that Snow Bunny because you trying to get rid of white people. You trying to go in white people. Stop it. We know what's going on.
Making black babies, huh?
Yeah, no, I think if it wasn't for Elaine, I wouldn't have had funny. It wouldn't have been no funny parts in the movie, but it was some funny parts in the movie as a moviegoer. But the rest of the movie, I ain't like. So and yeah, it was completely 100% thrown off with the crown, man. Don't be burning up the crown in the movie. That's disrespectful. I ain't seeing nobody burning up no yarmulke in the movie. Even though they did talk about pedophile Jewish rabbis in the movie. Which is not a stereotype, it's an actual reality. And so that's why I say there was some equal shots, you feel me, that was thrown back and forth. And I don't know if they tried to, because when they was talking about it, they were just showing how Jewish people pacify that sort of behavior. Like they still stick together no matter what this person is accused of. And he was a pedophile Jewish rabbi. And so that was in the movie before, they started throwing their shots at Muslims. So they had to throw that shot in there first so they could throw their shots at the nation. But I would say it made Jewish people look more racist than anything. If anything, they just called Eddie Murphy an asshole, but they never said anything he said wasn't truthful. And that's really what they do. If you look at that, that's always been the attack. It's never that you're not speaking the truth. It's never that you don't have a valid point. They don't like how you say it. You know what I'm saying? They try to call you, that's how they try to vilify the minister, because you can't do it with logic. So anyway, I was on my way home and I wanted to waste some time talking, so I decided to go ahead and do that. Somebody say interracial relationships, and I don't care. Like, who is y'all advocating? That's not like y'all, like, I think people got to understand. They may not be going anywhere, but I think everybody can clearly see an agenda, because they're also nowhere near close to a solution to our problem. It's not. White people are already not having the amount of births that they had, so you don't need to. Look, there's a fake Jack Heller Classic in here, Jack. I'm gonna add me real quick.
Who the hell is that, brother?
This Negro, hold on. It's a fake. Yeah. And then another thing I want to say before I get off on there. See, it's a little devil. Look, it's a little devil. See, this is what's wrong with y'all. Yeah, this is what y'all like, huh? Little devil hopped on with a fake Jack Heller Classic account. That's crazy. So that's who be behind it. They blackface. He blackface. He jackface. Blackface. Damn. Little devil. No, Jack Heller Classic with me right now, so I knew that wasn't gonna be. He just a little devil, man. And then they grow up to be police officers. But anyway, what I was gonna say, just to end off this live on a serious note, there's out of those 5 black officers, one of them was white. Or out of those officers, there was 6 of them, I guess. One of them was white. And you know, they push an agenda, of course. I don't know, man. I don't like nothing that's in the news. That's me, right? Everything that's in the news, I don't like, because I don't trust nothing in the news, because the news only give you a perception. They don't give you the truth. The news only give you a perception. They don't give you a truth, right? But I will say this: 3 of the brothers that they said pledged to Omega Psi Phi, right? Now, they police officers, because to me, you know, police officer is already a derogatory term, you know, for me, because police officer, the inception of it, and the job today, as it always been, is to keep the slaves in check, right? The capturing of black bodies, that's it. So we ain't got to go beyond that. So police officer is already derogatory enough for me. But 3 of them was Omegas. So they took one oath in a so-called black fraternity, you know, this Greek black fraternity. And then they took another fraternity, you know, an oath when they got into the police academy. And so that's why I was saying earlier, man, none of them oaths matter. If you don't have an oath towards black America and protecting each other, you know, that's the only thing that matters. I don't care about your Greek roots. I don't care if you AKA. I don't care if you're Delta. I don't care if you're Kappa, Omega, Alpha. None of that means that you black. None of that means that you black. None of that means you a god. You know, some of y'all have to get your ass slapped up and down and be humiliated by another man and say you a part of something. So any organization that has roots and it starts off in that manner, to me, just don't have integrity about it. And I know I got a lot of frats that follow me, but that don't make no sense to me. If I got to get beat, get my ass beat, spit on, you know what I mean, like go through hazing processes, things of that nature, I just don't see how that organization can produce, you know, quality stand-up human beings that contribute. Because you got to think of where that sort of stuff come from, where them rituals come from. You understand me? Where that energy come from? You know, that energy, that's not no African energy. You know, that's European homoeroticism that's in it, right? A lot of people ain't gonna never say it, but a lot of, you know, especially like, you know, like the Kappas and some of them, they be fruity as hell, man. Be fruity as a mixed bowl of yogurt, man. But anyway, I only say that because, unfortunately, the reality for me is that if you're not part of like, if you don't have that black oath, you understand me, to where you have love for your people, yourself, and Kai, you're not one of my brothers or my sister. That's it. The skin of you being black has nothing, because you may have an oath to something else. You have to have an oath to your brother and your sister. Starting off with having an oath to your family. You know? And I was talking with my brother Hassan. He was just harassed by the police because he lived by Apollo. You know, they roughed him up, got his arm in his cast, and I hit him up like, bro, what can I do? Because it behooves me to know a black man or black woman that got issues with the police. And I'm talking about, when I say, I'm talking about personally know too, not just something that I see out on the streets. Personally knowing somebody, because this is another thing. Like, for the people that you personally know, you should have at least 4 to 5 people that's going to come to your arms. And those 4 to 5 people should have another 4 to 5 people that's going to come to their arms in any situation. And those 4 to 5 people should have another 4 or 5 people. They should continue to go like that. So, therefore, if anything happens, right, there should be a standard protocol of behavior and reaction. So people are not guessing on what we should do. And based on the level of harassment or issue, and this don't just go with the police, because the reason that people are afraid of most gangs is because they have backup. But most gangs are unorganized as well. So it's the militancy that's always been the most fearful thing in this country. And anytime you start to add militancy and politics to anything, right, and then you add the God science, that's the formula, right, for taking over. I ain't never liked black cops because black cops in St. Louis and Oakland was the ones that treat you the worst. That's always been my experience. Black cops they'd be so disrespectful. I'm talking about the worst type of disrespect because they know you're not just gonna kill them. Because now you gotta lose your freedom because of their disrespect. So these ain't black men and women. They just look like us and they can blend in. But those are the ones that the FBI have been using. Those are the ones like the Slave Patrol have been using, right? The massa has been using. They find the weak ones amongst us and they use them. I've always had a dislike because I would rather have an assumption in my head that you already of a bad stock than to be disillusioned and fooled because you look like me, so I'm giving you credit. And then what happens? You worse than them. So nah, I'd rather my devils be white. So it's much easier to tell, right? But you know, I look at everything by character, so I don't believe that there is any hope for the police department and operation to change whatsoever. I don't think that the system is designed to allow it to change. I think the system has to be completely remade. It's not like it's the best system in the world. It's actually the worst, right? We have a lot of the things that we have in this country are terrible systems, right? But these systems, of course, are made so that the system continues to succeed. It's not like it's the most efficient, none of that, but I just have 0% faith. 0% faith, right, in the police department reforming and changing. I have 0% faith that you can change it from the inside. The only thing a black officer can do, he would have to go against the system from the inside, and he go get suspended. He go lose his job. So even fighting from the inside, that won't work because he gonna be outnumbered. You would have to take 100 black men, 200 black men, and all of them would have to join the force, and then all of them would have to have an ideology from top to bottom, right, that is pro-black. You're not going to do it by one or two. It ain't going to work. It's a fraternity. It's a gang. How you go change? How you go? That's like me as a black Muslim. I'm going to join the Bloods and be like, bro, I'm about to change the gang. You know what I mean? Let's operate like this. I get crazy. You get shot and killed trying to do something like that, man. That don't work like that. Look at Nipsey Hussle. Nipsey Hussle was essentially the formula of a black Muslim, right, in the Crips, and he got killed by one of his own brothers. You can have good intentions, but there are certain systems that require more than an individual to go against. There are certain systems that are stronger than the will of individuals. So once it's a system that is an organ, right, and that organ is organized and it becomes a body, right, it's not enough to attack one cell. It's the whole entire body that needs to change. Because the spirit of that body is not the correct spirit. What animates it, what gives it life, the beginning, the inception of it. You ain't changing that. You can't change the history of a place. Anytime you get something like that, it has to be disbanded and something new has to be brought out. That's the only way. Shout out to all the warriors out there in the world, man, that have an undying fight towards social justice and change. Shout out to black people, period, because without us, you know, the world would be set back another 1,000 years. Okay. Because, yeah, right here. Because there's nobody on the planet Earth that has fought more for social justice and change than black people in America.